Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 455, season 15, and we're doing a free flow show today in light of yesterday's events. And before we get started, I just want to give my deepest condolences to anyone who lost a loved one yesterday. Really tragic event that I wish we would not have had to see in the United States today. So I just want to start there, and then I'll say, hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, Chin's up.
Chin's got some life events going on as well. But in the house tonight to help us discuss kind of what happened yesterday and then some of our own personal self-defense lessons that can be taught out of this is L. Douglas Hogan. What is going on, dog?
Not too much. How's things on the homestead?
Oh, I always tease about how it's a race between the people and the planet for who's going to, take us down first. And we had Beryl come through. So I was thinking that was going to be our big headline event for tonight. But little did I know that society had other plans, and we're discussing some graver topics today.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about hurricanes in Illinois.
Well, you guys actually got hit by some of it. You guys got some rain.
Yeah, but when it gets here, it's just like a thunderstorm and whatnot. It's like we literally don't use the word hurricanes here unless we're talking about what's going on the coast.
Right. Yeah, that was honestly for us where we were at. We're on the west side of it. So it did come and sit like right on top of us. It was tropical storm by then. But because we were on the west side, we had like a rainy day as well. The temperatures got nice and cool, which was a very welcome reprieve to what's been going on. So it was nice for us as well. It was like, hell yeah, I'll take one of those every other week, but I don't think Houston would feel quite the same way. So it was kind of massive down there. So, all right, looks like everything's going good. We're good to chat it up. So here I am. We're recording lines actually for the audio drama yesterday, pretty much all day long. And my mom comes running out, somebody's shooting at Trump. And I'm like, no way. My mom's watching Fox News all the time. So I'm like, what is she talking about? Throw on the YouTube. And sure enough, they didn't wait very long into the actual speech event, which I found interesting. So what were you guys doing? Oh, you got to bring it out, Chin. Come on now.
So I had a family gathering that I was at, and coming home from that, we were just chilling out, just kind of like having a cocktail, just chilling. And I said, I guess I need to go through my emails and see what's going on. I was like, holy crow. So yeah, I was the same way. I couldn't believe that I would. So then I had to dive into the whole universe of what's going on.
Seeing what was going on.
Yeah, try to figure it all out. Put some pieces together.
All right. Where were you at, Doug?
That's what I'm sitting here trying to figure out. It's not like on 9/11 where I can remember what I was doing. I'm sitting here trying to think, and I'm like, what? I honestly can't recall what I was doing. It's mind-blowing.
It's like the JFK moment, right? Like, my parents and their generation all knew like exactly what they were doing when JFK was shot,
Unless you're a Hogan and your memory is shot, you just can't. What was that? It was Saturday. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think maybe I was getting out of the pool because I was working on the pool and getting it cleaned up a little bit.
Yep.
Cleaned up some of the storm mess from the day before.
I had a good one, but then I saw that we got Silver Streak over in the chat, and it just zapped my brain out. I was like, where are we going? Like, everybody knew what they were doing after that, pretty much, though. So
yeah, I had all the tablets and phones there drinking away.
Right? It's probably like the most jumped on time of YouTube ever, because we jumped on right as it was happening. And, I've tried rewinding. It was seriously only like my mom came out yelling, oh, it was the first televised news or.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was the first televised rally of the election cycle, which I found kind of interesting as well. Always trying to make a big name for yourself or something. But just found that kind of ironic.
I think I just remembered. Yesterday like tomorrow's our anniversary, and so yesterday we were celebrating our anniversary early because my wife was working Monday, and we didn't want to do the whole come home tired and then go out to eat thing. So we went out yesterday, and we was in the car going as my phone started dinging with from like Daily Wire and America Wire, and these different Epic Times, and these different places that I'm subscribed to. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like everything lit up right after that.
Yeah. No, see, I had my phone on silent because we were in services and stuff. So it was I had no clue, and then I was like, let's check the. I was like an hour behind the event, and I was like, let's just go through emails and all my text messages. The
right to
signal
catch up
session, all that stuff. Yeah, let's see what happened today because I was totally out of the loop.
Yeah, even
and then it was like a surreal moment. You're like, no way.
Right?
Yeah. I thought it was like a meme or something. Somebody was just doing some BS.
Yeah, he was talking about his chart, and then you just heard like the pop. He puts his hand up on his ear,
Yeah,
and you're like, what?
Yeah, he was like, what? It was like there was a mosquito buzz in his ear or something.
Right.
Backing it out of the way.
It wasn't like, So very interesting. It's like, this is I just didn't expect to ever see this type of reality from within our country again. Right? It really, usually I don't like to touch politics on my show anymore because it's just a mess. It's my opinion that so if you really cared about one issue and you super duper got into that issue and solved that one issue, there's so many other snowballs rolling down the hill. That, to me, the only way to save our country is to start at home, start in our communities, one by one. But this really worries me because things are tough. I work in insurance, and I still work in California. And I know that California is the black sheep of the country and whatnot. But just the everyday lives that are affected by all of the pressures, of what everything is costing people just to survive and just eat. I will meet people every day that are, especially the elderly stories is what really breaks your heart. And it just seems like the snowball just got a lot bigger yesterday.
And the pressures, like you said, so the pressures aren't just like, so that, am I going to have a job, next week? And then there's all kinds of catastrophes going, like storms and fires and all, so people have all these pressures coming out from, there's no release. There's all this pressure.
Right. Like you got to find that release.
Yeah, the media is not helping. They're just feeding into it. They're just getting even more riled up.
I would go so far to say that they're a part of it. I mean, who
would
actually say that they were actually surprised that this happened?
No, not at all.
I mean, anybody listen to my podcast, I have like a 2 or 3 minute intro. It's just a collage of people talking about violence, bringing violence to Trump and the SCOTUS.
Oh, wait. You said to Trump, right? So it wasn't the violent far right that you had on that string of audio clips, right?
No, it's clips of Maxine Waters.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Chuck Schumer, Don Lemon, Cuomo. It's just different people on the left talking about taking violence to people on the right, but mostly to Trump and to the SCOTUS.
Which is, it started right away. Remember Kathy Lee Gifford with like the severed Trump head?
Yes, she had the head.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to her, right?
Nothing. Nothing. They were talking.
Madonna said, I thought awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they talked about like Sarah Palin. She had put like bullseyes on a map for like the districts that she needed to conquer to like win her stuff. And then there was an attempt, I guess a shooting attempt or whatever. They like went after her for quote unquote blood money, like litigations for years. And nothing ever happens on the other side.
No, they're not held to the standard.
Didn't Johnny Depp say who was the last actor to shoot a president or assassinate a president?
He said, yeah.
Yeah.
He said, when was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know, yeah. Oh, in the chat too, they were talking about it and just how shocked they were that the crowd was so calm. You know, I feel exactly the same way. You know, whenever you shoot a gun, somebody in the background is your backdrop. So I guess the shot came from behind, right? Correct? At this point, they know that's true?
No, it came from the side.
It came from the side? Yeah. Okay. Yep. So either way, around him, you have people. There was people that were hit by...
Oh, yeah. You had a backstop. Right. Or the bleacher was the backstop.
Yeah. And it just seemed like everybody was in so much shock. Like, you didn't even hear yelling or anything, really.
The fire chief, there's actually a fire chief from the town of Butler, I understand, in Pennsylvania. His name is Corey, his last name here, Comperator, Comperator, Corey Comperator. He's the one that got killed from that stray bullet.
I guess there was a 10-mile-an-hour wind gust at exactly the same time as when the shot was fired. Thank you, Jesus.
Wouldn't doubt it. And there's the U.S. flag that was. Did you see the knotted up flag that was hanging up over Trump?
No.
Did you guys see that? In the shape of an angel or an eagle, however you want to look at it.
No way.
Yeah, it got knotted up right before Trump started talking, and it looks like the shape of an eagle. You can dig it up; it's easy to find.
Well, there's this one speech that Trump did, and they asked him, like, you're the most famous man or whatever, and he's like, no, I'm not. And they're like, well, who's like more well known than you are? And he's like, Jesus. And like the American flags just billow behind him. It was so sick. I was like, really, that's awesome.
I wouldn't say that Trump's a strong, he's definitely not a strong Christian. He's awkward when he gets around prayer and stuff like that. But at least he knows who God is. He knows who Jesus is, and he has reverence for God. Yeah. Unlike the left, who has no reverence at all for them.
Yeah. Biden, one of his quotes was like, I guess I'm going to have to open that book up and see what's in it that he's selling. It's like, yeah, you probably should, about this time in your life. Goodness gracious.
There might be some end time events that you're playing into there, Muppet.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. So, yeah, overall, I was... That was one of the surprising things to me is like shots fired and people didn't seem to really react about it. I don't know, maybe at like, you'd hope that you'd have more situational awareness. You had sent me that one picture over and like the thing that I noticed in the background was this guy, like he's just pressing his wife's head down and it looks bad in the picture. But that's the snapshot of the moment, right? And you know exactly what he was doing was pushing her down and standing in front of her.
I saw an interview. It was like the city mayor was pushing his wife's head down. They interviewed him on the thing.
Was he like right behind Trump?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They could have been the same. I was like, boom, that's where it's at, the sheepdogs. But yeah, so I was just wondering, okay, you're going to go to an event like this because a lot of people are actually starting to wake up a little bit. Thank goodness, right? Personally, I hate large crowds. I'm just too small. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah, I tried a mosh pit in the past, and no, I'm at everybody's elbows, So, you're going to an event like this. You can't carry, obviously. for good reasons. Do they actually have like metal detectors and stuff on the way in? Do you know?
I heard that I heard it took an hour to get through all the security for the crowd.
Yeah, and the guy was outside of the area.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because one guy that they interviewed was like a doctor, and he was saying it took the crowd an hour to get through, and he had like pins or had surgery in his knees or had pins. So like they had to he went through the metal detector, and then they took him aside, and they had to wand him and stuff to prove.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in maximum security environment my entire life. I've never been to any kind of political rally like this, but I can tell you in a maximum security environment what I would do. And I would pat down every single person and wand them. And if I had electricity out there like it looked like they did, I probably would have given them the TSA treatment. They could walk in, raise their arm up, and it takes 3 seconds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we got wanded and stuff like that just going into like fairs, so they keep firearms out of it.
They're doing it at sporting events now.
Yeah.
I think a year ago or so when I went to a hockey game, they did that.
I mean, so you're walking in there unarmed and, shooting like that begins. What's your first thought? Obviously, mine would be like, hit the deck, right?
Down, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if people do get nervous and start to move, then you're also liable when you're on the ground because they could trample you. So what's your guys' opinion there?
It depends on my role. I'm a police officer, so I am always heading towards the sound of gunfire. Yep. However, if I'm there as a spectator, I can't do that or I'll get shot and killed because they could mistake me for an attacker, right? If I'm
Right. Yeah, the police themselves. Yep.
Yeah. So you got to have the right mindset, and that's one thing about being a warrior is when you're in these kind of situations, you got to. There's a big picture involved. It's just not you and what you can do. What's the big picture? Who's at play? Who are the people that's involved? What's going on? Where the guns come from? Who's the authority figures here? Who's got guns? Who doesn't have guns? There's so much to calculate in a very short amount of time. And it's the more you do it, the faster and better you become at it. I would say that in my situation, being a police officer for umpteen years and being security for over 30 years, I would immediately hit the deck and I would be looking around, see who the players are that's involved, make sure that that everybody's doing their job, and I would be trying to get an eyeball on the gunman too. Still maintaining a low profile, not standing up or getting on my knees. I was still maintaining a very low profile.
Yeah, that's my thought, and make sure my family, anybody I'm with, because I'm not going to be there alone. They're
your they're your priority. They're the ones you're going to take care of first. Get down. Make sure once everybody's down, you get down.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. I was also surprised by everybody's like, oh, well, they were trying to say that Trump, wasn't cognitively there as well because Biden's such a mockery. And we have this exercise, it's called sprawling, in MMA, so that you can defeat a takedown. And man, I tell you, Trump sprawled like nobody's business. Like everybody's like, oh, the Secret Service tackled him. I'm like, I don't think so. That dude hit the deck on his own. He knew exactly what was up.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
it looked like he was done.
And when you sprawl down like that, like you lose. When he got up, he was like, let me get my shoes. And if you're in dress shoes, those things are definitely popping off if you have to do that. So props to him for being so agile, I was impressed by the agility there. So, how about the red-haired guy? The red-haired guy who was like, we were telling people there was, the sniper on the roof, right? Go ahead.
So you're talking about the guy that was talking to the police,
the reporter, the BBC reporter.
Was he the one that's pointing, like literally for 2 to 3 minutes, pointing at the sniper thing? He's right there.
Yeah, he had like the golf cap on the
visor. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was completely disregarded.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess it was a group of them. Like, hey, dude on the roof, right there.
Yep.
Wouldn't you assume, like, I've seen some amazing stuff that they can do with drones nowadays, and they're like a dime a dozen.
Or were they?
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
They have thermal tech in them. I mean, they don't have a drone over these events, like monitoring. Wouldn't that just
you
seem
could
like...
have
Not this
a
event.
couple guys in a van with a dozen drones just scouring that place.
Yeah. That was my thought. I'm like, they're like civilians have them to patrol their property, with thermal in them.
Yep.
And
what's the chances? This guy lived so close. The shooter lived so close, and he had been donating so much to Act Blue, and he was a member of Antifa, and he was highly regarded. Like he was a violent member of Antifa.
Yep.
And what are the chances? He just was so close to this event, and there was no drones overhead. Secret Service failed to secure all the buildings, failed to have people up on top of all these buildings. The order, like the sniper, this might be a topic you're going to be covered in a little bit. But the sniper was told, he said that he had him in the shooter. I'm sorry, not the sniper. The Secret Service, one of the Secret Service agents that shot him, said he had him in his sights for approximately 2 to 3 minutes, and he was not given the clearance, which I don't know why he would need clearance to take him out. Mm-hmm. But the Secret Service director told him to hold off, to stand down, and not to shoot him. But he ended up disobeying anyway.
So he took it upon himself to shoot him, even though he was told to stand down.
Now, none of this, you take this for a grain of salt. None of this is confirmed.
Right.
I mean, this is nobody. The mainstream media is not covering this. Right. I'm going off a post.
What I found, that's one of the things I found spectacular about this incident is the amount of people on deck. How many people have cell phones in their hands? Oh, how many people, can grab that information that cannot be skewed by the media to tell us a specific story like some of the other shootings in the past have been, that we now know is completely erroneous. So I love that aspect.
If you look at there's tons of pictures satellite pictures now getting posted of the location. There's not that many buildings there. How could that building that the bad sniper was on not have been covered with security? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's not possible.
That was a perfect overlook.
Yeah.
It was the perfect overlook for security.
Yeah.
And it was missed on purpose. I'm telling you right now, this was not an accident. That was not being covered. Here's the post I found on, and you take this for what it's worth. This actually, I found this on Al-Bawaba website. Remember that one?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, and I won't try and pronounce it either.
And they linked it back to 4chan, not the same Chan, not to confuse with Chin, but this is 4chan. And in this guy posted this, and he said, "My name is Jonathan Willis. I'm the officer of the famous photo of 2 snipers on the roof at Trump's rally. I came here to inform to the public that I had the assassin in my sights for at least 3 minutes, but the head of the Secret Service refused to give me the order to take out the perp. 100%, the top brass prevented me from killing the assassin before he took the shots at President Trump." So in other words, he had to wait until imminent danger, like shots being fired before he intervened, which is absolute BS. Like you don't do that in security anywhere. So the entire point of security is preemptive. It's to prevent issues from happening.
Yeah.
So he goes on and says, "I didn't follow orders though, and as soon as the shooter opened fire on Trump, I returned fire despite strict orders not to engage. I had eyes on the shooter for 3 minutes, watching him fiddle with his rifle and just the scopes. It was obvious he was a shooter, yet I wasn't allowed to engage. After I killed the shooter, I was arrested, questioned by the FBI, and just released after an hour ago. Already lost my job for not following orders, but I'm glad." So why he went to 4chan.org to post this, I don't know. Probably because you post anonymously there, but why would he go to an anonymous thing and say, "Hey, I'm this guy"?
Because he doesn't want he's honorable.
But he could have put that anywhere. Oh, you know what? I bet because if he would put it on Facebook, it would have got taken down. Put it on Instagram, it would have got taken. Put it on anywhere, it would have got taken down.
Yeah. Man.
It's the other thing. So back to just the taking a shot. So there wasn't like the bad sniper wasn't in the middle of a crowd. Was like the backdrop to that shot was clean, right? So I mean, for the most part, taking that shot wasn't going to like endanger, an old lady in a wheelchair or something. You know what I mean? It was, it was like if you wanted the guy was not in the crowd, just hunched in there, just popping up to take the shot and ducking back down into the crowd. He was exposed out there on the roof.
And then the footage that you found of the guy like moving, the Secret Service guy like moving people out of the.
Yeah,
that was just interesting too.
Now there is bullet fall, right? So we got to think that this bullet's got to come down somewhere.
Yeah.
But I would not. We're talking about the president of the United States, right?
Right.
So we're stopping a shooter, and there would be, I don't know what the Secret Service guy was shooting. I didn't see it. I'm just going to guess it was probably a 308. That's going to keep going unless it hits a bone. It's going to keep going for a good while.
Yeah, for like a mile. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to go for a good while. But I did kind of zoom out.
But again, you're not shooting into like an apartment complex or a crowd or something. There's a lot of distance before you get.
And it was fairly open in that's a fairly rural area. I mean, not rural, like country area, pretty much.
Right.
So the danger of hitting somebody on the other side of that was minimal, I would say. So
yeah,
for
it was
this
a shopping mall or a church or like a lot of these other active shooter scenarios.
Right. But this Kimberly A. Cheadle, she's the one, I guess, that is the Biden administration Secret Service director. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's gotta go.
Drain the swamp.
The other thing, the left always accuses the right of like this violent activity, J6, and I always say like, okay, you're saying Trump incited violence, right? Trump specifically told everybody to stand down. If Trump would have said stand up, you don't even want to know what would happen in this country, right? He's clearly like, let's keep the peace, stand down. And they're like, oh, you were inciting. No, no, you don't understand how much of the country would stand up at that point. The left, they're always doing these riots. I mean, it was on fire. D.C. was on fire in June before January 6th. Look at Chad. Look at the towns they were burning down. So it's clearly a difference between the two sides, and the right's always getting accused of all this violence.
Yeah, because anytime the right says words, they're hurtful, right? They're a crime, and they incite violence.
Right.
Right, but the left can say, "Let's go take Trump out tonight." Let's and the whole headless, whoever that chick was, I forgot her name.
Gifford.
The sad comedian that nobody thinks is funny.
Yeah.
They do stuff like that. You got Maxine Waters talking about, "I'll take Trump out tonight." And just a day ago, President Biden said, "Forget about the Trump rally, or not the Trump rally. Forget about the debate. It's time to put Donald Trump in the crosshairs."
Right. Bullseye. Yeah. Which, come on, dude. Clearly. So this is a big problem, and I hope that there's people, that are well armed, ready to defend our country, ready to protect what's necessary. But we're all kind of hoping that peace can be achieved through civil discord and taking care of our problems in legal manners and getting rid of it through elections and draining that swamp, right? And so the minute people stand up in a violent way is the minute you give them excuses to roll out martial law and stuff like that into your streets. So that's a very delicate balance that...
They tend to hold us, anybody that's on the right accountable for saying words that they think might hurt their feelings, but they do it relentlessly and without any change. Like they do whatever they want to without cause, and they get away with it.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, like with people already being at their breaking point so much, I just hope that, people can keep their heads on straight at this point. Because it's really getting old.
There's still people out there right now. There's a lot of it on social media. People are crying and complaining because the job didn't get done, and they're openly posting things like that. Like how could you miss the shot? You actually Benny Thompson, the Mississippi congressman that's been writing the legislation to get Trump's Secret Service pulled. One of his workers just said, I want to say it was X, Instagram, or Facebook, posted on there about it's too bad that you missed. You need to take some shooting lessons so you don't miss next time. Now, I understand she got fired.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
Yes, but that's the sentiment that's coming out. So when people like Chuck Schumer go and release like he did, we're sorry to hear, violence is never just, blah, blah, blah. I just hear, I don't care what you have to say because you are the one that brought us to this point.
Yes.
It's your rhetoric that pushed this lunatic to think that he was in the right, like he was going to be martyred for your beliefs.
Yeah, you brainwashed half of society through media, through false flags, and now you wonder why this is happening. Duh. It's just kids, and they don't have all the input, and they're just reading headlines. I mean, they just are in scroll mode, just reading headlines, and then their social media just pushes exactly what they want to see to extremize them even more. And, there's got to be the social media is the worst. And I would, this is a little bit personal because of what happened with me and Fake Book, and, trying to enlighten people to the realities of what's going on during a really, really scary time like that virus and everything. And you get removed for that. And then these people go on and talk about, killing a president, taking anybody's life. I don't care that it's a president. You can't go into public and talk about that like it's a good thing and you're allowed to do that. That's horrific. Everybody has a right to life. Former president, bum on the street, It's ridiculous.
A lot of these people that are saying this are young kids that haven't even never even punched in the face, probably never been in a street fight, will probably never serve in the military, put their neck out on the line. This lady's name was Jacqueline Marsaw, and she was a staffer for Benny Thompson.
That's just absolutely crazy. I mean, there's a difference between like political rhetoric and whatnot, and then bringing in, things like that. On a more beautiful note, Melania's statement this morning was absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you saw it. There was a post up on Twitter with like her letter that she issued about, you almost extinguish his light because of politics and, rhetoric, and you almost took away someone's father, someone's grandfather, just complete disregard for one another's life.
They don't care because they don't see that side of Trump, right? They don't see anything that happened before he said, I'm going to run on the Republican ticket to be president of the United States.
Yeah.
Before that, he was seen with all kinds of black celebrities, giving money to black charities and hiring black people. I mean, he's been at the forefront of this movement.
Well, Biden spoke at the Grand Wizard's funeral.
Yes, and he's got in the Bird character. I forget the Bird's character's first name, but he was a big friend of his.
Yeah, but nobody brings that up. No, like that's.
He even wrote legislation, against the black. Put a lot of him and Kamala Harris both.
Yep.
Have both imprisoned a lot of black people, and here Trump has been, on the
biggest
forefront.
Advocate. He brought life back to New York, and he said his whole career. You can look all the way back to the 80s, all the way back. And they always asked him, are you going to run for president? Because he's so famous, he's so rich, everything else. And he's like, no, I really don't want to. Why don't you want to? Because it's hate. It's a hateful world. It's ugly. And unless our country is in dire, dire straits, I'm not going to do it. And well, here we are, and I do believe he is the man for the job. I mean, I've personally, my whether I like him or dislike him has just kind of been neutral. He's a businessman. He does what he does. I think he's done a lot of really beautiful things in his past. I get along well with assholes for the most part, though. Like, I do. So, I never really had like an opinion of like love, hate, but I can tell you that there's nobody else with the balls to stand up and make a stand for our country and bring our businesses back, bring this corruption under control, stop the horrific things that we do around the country, and they whitewash us, or around the world, and they whitewash us into believing, oh, it's for climate change or blah, 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 and we just have our fingers into everything. I mean, we don't need to be doing any of that. There's just a whole different basis that we could take as a country as far as making this world a better place, rather than just letting business destroy the smaller, the poor people, It's really gross. So I do have respect for the man on that note. Just silence.
Sorry, I was digging up something else, but yeah, I was going to add to that because it seems like the rhetoric from the left is always throwing us into a steamroll and putting us on this train where we just continue to spiral downward. Mm-hmm. But no, I was looking for something that I can't find it right now. It's too bad.
I'm interested because they didn't even talk really about a lot of issues at the debate. So I'm really curious. The left, as far as the platform goes, where do they see the end game is no other place but global system. Mm-hmm. Open borders everywhere. Everybody just can run amok everywhere.
Money flowing out to everywhere but needed places in the country.
Right? We just got hit
everybody
so
around
hard.
the globe gets money,
mm-hmm.
but
Amen.
There's plenty of places to spend it in the country.
I just saw a thing on how much of our business in America is owned by foreign investors. And if their GDP was a country, it would be the 5th largest country in the world. We're just selling away for money.
I heard kind of like a snarky comment today, but I heard somebody say that, we have all this money that we're throwing to Ukraine and everything else, but then we say we don't have enough money to up the ante on security for something with
right.
RFK, who's trying to run.
It's
for
just
president. And Trump, they can't add to his security detail, but we can throw billions of dollars, to Ukraine so they can buy yachts and stuff.
It's just
I think that's easier because they're not allowed to those aren't just open checks that Ukraine and Israel's getting, right? They have to use subsidiaries. They have to use the what's it called, the military industrial complex.
Complex.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So basically they say, here, we want these are the weapons we want, and they write a check back to our subsidiaries and back into our bank book it goes.
That's crazy. That's it. It's just a laundering of money into a different direction.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I've never been for term limits ever, but I'm kind of these people are making careers out of this, and this is not serving, the country. This is serving themselves with a career that they build, empire that they build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's well, you can see just from the net worth of presidents going in, presidents coming out, how fast the inside trader. I mean, they're only in office. Well, they're only supposed to be in for, a certain amount of years. So if you don't do any trading during those times, that seems absolutely fair. I mean, they should have a lock on all, before you come into office, that's it. And then when you're out of office, you can do whatever. But while you're in office, no insider trading and all that. Because it's just gross. I've watched this Chinese interview, and they were laughing about, if you want, an American executive or politician to do what you want them to do, just keep writing zeros to the check, and eventually you get it. Where is it?
Don't I remember hearing some politician saying, well, I'll be damned if he didn't drop the charges, right?
Yeah. All right.
Who said that?
You guys think if this was Biden that got shot and he raised his fist up with the American flag in the background, that wouldn't be on Time Magazine's front cover the next day?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But instead we get like USA Today, and they're right after he got shot, right? So it's this former President Donald Trump was rushed off stage after loud popping sounds rang out.
Right.
And then CNN reports CNN Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally.
What?
Yes. They refuse in the beginning to lend any kind of credence.
God.
Do a Google like Trump rally, and all this stuff, like, it's just ridiculous. All
That's
this stuff
unbelievable.
They like refuse to say like attempted assassination.
They don't want him to sound like a martyr because they know that's fuel in the fire.
Oh, dude, they already did it. Just immortalized him. I've already seen like the hype videos. Like, yeah.
That picture with him holding his fist up and the flag in the background and the blue sky. I mean, that is it.
Oh yeah.
The this is a capitalistic society, right? When I woke up this morning, actually last night before I went to bed, I already saw products coming off the assembly line.
Yep.
I've posted a bunch of them. I've seen shirts. I've seen a Glock that has Trump on it that they're doing.
Nice.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
You missed, bitch. Get back to the range. Trump with his fingers up in the air.
You know what I was thinking? I was talking with some family this morning. I was like, look at the difference in the two men. So Trump, basically, they have to drag him off after somebody takes a shot at him, right? Off the stage.
Yep.
And the other person has to be carried off the stage because they can't find their way.
Yeah.
You know?
You put little arrows.
Look at the difference between the two men. I mean, which guy do you want to hang out with? Like the defiant guy putting his come on.
Yeah, if it was the other, if it was the other way, like Joe would have just, I don't know, he probably would have just like fallen over.
Like, which way do I go? Which paratrooper do I?
Or they have him so doped up, he wouldn't even feel what happened. He'd just kind of be spinning around there, not knowing what's going on. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
But that was my thought. The two men coming off the podium.
Yeah.
Which one?
I'm just concerned about where we go from here, It's so isolated. It's so man, I wish we could come to a place where we would just tell facts instead of try and spin things and brainwash people and all this stuff. Old guards fall and new ones come, and it's just time. I was saying, like, why can't Father Time catch up with some of these people, right? We're done. We're done.
They're not that far apart in age, are they? Everybody's all talking about Biden out.
No, they're not. I think it's only like 4 years or something.
Yeah, everybody's all concerned about Biden. Are you sure you're kind of old? Everybody's concerned about your age. Nobody's asking Trump that because he's very freaking, he's still potent.
Because the difference in him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They were trying to. They were like, oh, he's got dementia and all this. And it's like, what? The guy plays 3D chess. Dude, like, come on. I don't think so. That's not happening. You don't have intelligence on that level if you have dementia. So
it's like they both go off the teleprompter, right? But Biden just dies right off the teleprompter. And Trump is like he's on fire when he comes off the teleprompter.
Like they'll spell out period. He'll be like, period.
Pause.
Pause.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we're going to do some Changing Earth news because we did have Beryl come through. We do have some Changing Earth going on as well, not just our political upheaval. But, Doug, thanks so much for coming on the show. I know it was super late notice.
Yeah.
I always appreciate hanging out with you.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. I got to run. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Have fun with that next set of lines.
I'll see you crazy guys later.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right, let's go ahead and switch gears and jump into some Changing Earth news.
Dream, survive, thrive. This is Changing Earth News.
Changing Earth News. All right. Always a pleasure to have Doug on the show. if you guys are missing the Vergis saga, we will continue it next week. We're also going to have Rick on next week, Rick Austin, host of Prepper Camp, and just, come on, the godfather of preparedness. So it's going to be a great show. We'll pick up the book next week, and we'll have Rick on, and we're just jamming on communities and how you can get through events. So for all those who were waiting on that show, well, the society kind of threw us a curveball here.
Stuff happened.
Yeah, stuff happened. So that's why we did the special edition tonight. And again, let's pray. Everybody pray for the country tonight. A little special prayer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've got to reach a middle ground here. And so try to forgive, try to destroy hate, but at the same time, you got to stand for something or you're going to fall for anything. So, alrighty, guys. Let's see. This morning, solar activity is back. We had a series of M-class flares, an X-class flare. These are all departing out of they're departing sunspots. Sorry, I'm thinking about my throat. I was recording lines yesterday. My throat's really messed up today, so I've been trying to hold it together all show. So if I get a little, if I've got to grab some water, please be understanding of me.
Y'all, I told Sarah it's called acting. She doesn't actually have to strangle herself to do the line.
I had to stand up to Jordan because they were really hitting each other over there. I'm like, oh, well, that ain't happening. I'm like, no, but
bring it.
There's some lines you can't do. You can't make it sound that way unless you sound that way. So that's what happened to me. I won't have to record any lines like that for a little while. Alrighty. So I want to back up to exactly a week ago, 7/7. There was actually an EF4 tornado that came through, hit Shandong, China, caused some major damage there. So that was worth reporting back on. Some gnarly pictures of that tornado. It is literally like the sky fell and just started sucking up the city. So it was really crazy stuff. Also, on the 7th, there was a 6.2 earthquake on the Bonin Islands near Japan. So that was a pretty big one, worth talking about. On the 8th of July, there was 393 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.4 in the South Pacific Ocean near Peru. There was a 5.9 earthquake on the border of Panama and Costa Rica. They downgraded that one, but that was the original numbers coming in off of it. Also, the Panama Canal was impacted by a large dust storm. At least 21 wildfires burning across California. 7 people have passed away in those fires. Some pretty good areas. I mean, you never want to see wildfires burning, but when they get into cities and stuff like that, it can be really big problems. So as I mentioned during the show, I do work with insurance over there in California, and it is an absolute mess. It is an absolute mess of a market. I could do a whole show on just that. But they don't need wildfires now on top of everything that's going on there. So the future of insurance, just side note, because this is the Change in Earth News, I think that eventually it's going to be a luxury item for the wealthy, that your average everyday person won't be able to afford insurance. So you'll just have to, pray for the best. And it's really crappy because most of the time you have to have insurance when you own a home. And if you can't secure it, then the bank's going to put on it. Then everything's more expensive there. So good old you'll own nothing and be happy about it just kind of get ties into this, because I also understand what's going on from the insurance point of view. Everything's more expensive to rebuild. You're not collecting enough premium. If you look at how many houses you lost versus the amount of premium you collect, it's just a really hard situation. So I'll keep you posted. But right now it's like, wow, people are like, what are we going to do next year? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And it's happened across the whole country, right? It's not just California. So 20 tornadoes in Pennsylvania, just all these storms. You can't just keep rebuilding after that. They have to, collect money. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting. People are starting to pay like $10,000 a year for policies. I've seen $16,000 a year for policies. It's crazy. So anyway, moving on, July 9th, 2024, 363 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.1 in the South Pacific Ocean near Tonga. Hurricane Beryl came barreling in, hit Texas hard as a Cat 1 hurricane. In Houston, major flooding, killed several people down there, left 2 million people without power. So it was quite a storm coming in, turned into a tropical storm, started moving north and moved north faster than what they expected, so that was good. But it just started collecting storms as it went, and some people got pummeled and some people didn't. So hopefully everybody's safe out there, and if you are impacted, man, prayers for you. Looks like it's going to be an interesting hurricane season with a lot more behind it. We are quiet right now, though. Maybe. There's one down in Mexico that's like a potential to form up. So, eyes on the Gulf. Mumbai, India, they were impacted by a large dust storm. The Great Salt Lake is shrinking due to drought conditions up there in Utah. So, it's just exasperating the situation even more because there's not any water to pick up out of the Salt Lake. So, that ecosystem's pretty fragile. And we just have to keep our eyes on that situation as well. July 10th, 2024, 334 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 6.7 earthquake in the Indian Ocean. Ruidoso, New Mexico is facing flooding again. This is the same area where they had big burnouts. Now they've been having flooding pretty much ever since. So they're dealing with lots of landslides and stuff because of the amount of their plants that were lost to the fires right before that. Hundreds are trapped in China as heavy rains cause more flooding and a dam collapses there. So southern China has just been absolutely inundated with water. If you haven't seen the pictures of what's going on there, there's these huge like skyrise buildings and they're just completely flooded in, and people are in the buildings up on the levels just trapped there. So it's quite a humanitarian problem as well. Beryl continued moving all across the country, flooded all the way up to Toronto. There was tornado strength winds and flooding in Belgium. Hold on one second. There was a tornado that impacted Mount Vernon, Indiana. And in Zimbabwe, they're having a major drought there, facing a lot of malnutrition and whatnot just due to lack of food because of the drought conditions. July 11th, 2024, there was 377 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 7.1 near the Philippines. Luckily, that was not on land. It was in the ocean. And then there was a 6.6 earthquake in the Cascadia region, which is offshore North Pacific, offshore of Oregon and Vancouver Island. There was a 6.6 earthquake up there. We've had eyes on that area because it's been swarming a lot. It did not cause a tsunami, so hopefully that 6.6 was a good release for that area and the swarms will settle down. We'll just have to keep our eyes on it and see what it does. The Cascadia region is a region that caused a lot of damage when it slips. So it was some of the cause of the 1903 earthquake in San Francisco. Literally trains just picked up and thrown off railroad tracks and stuff like that. It can be big problems. July 11th, 2024, there was 377 earthquakes that were 2. No, I just did that one, didn't I? No, I didn't. We did the 7.1 in the Philippines. Sahara dust is back in Texas. And then New Mexico got hit with a severe dust storm, followed by an electrical storm. So, planet live and kicking. 7/12/2024, there was 393 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.8 in the central eastern Pacific. Tucson, Arizona was hit with a dust storm, takes out power lines. A pilot was killed in Montana fighting wildfires. And Boulder, Colorado, the National Institute of Standards and Technology had to be evacuated due to wildfires burning near the school. July 13th, 2024, there was 349 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the South Pacific Ocean near New Zealand. Lassen Peak, California, they have had the strongest uptick in their earthquake activity in a decade, so we're keeping eyes on that. 3.9 in Cascadia off the California coast. So still movement happening there. Nova Scotia, they had flooding. There was a youth that was actually swept away while playing at the park when they had the flash flooding come in. Plainfield, Vermont, they had flooding destroy a bridge and just rip this apartment complex apart. So big flooding coming in from Beryl. Eden, New York, they were also impacted by Beryl. They had a large tornado come in. Colfax, North Dakota, also had a tornado impact. And then North Dakota, Greece. In Greece, they have drought affecting tourism and agriculture there. Labrador.
Just down the road from North Dakota.
Yeah, right? Well, I was thinking of North Carolina, because there were still articles up about North Carolina and the drought, but I know you guys are getting ready to get hit with rain soon, so I thought Greece should take precedence over, because their ag is severe, but so is North Carolina's ag being affected right now, so here we go. Labrador City in Canada, they had wildfires, thousands evacuated out of there. And then July 14th of 2024, there was 347 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.4 in the North Pacific Ocean near Panama. Heavy rain and flooding in South Africa is flooding homes. And there was a picture of this casino that was just absolutely being inundated by water. That was pretty interesting. Right now, there's a tropical disturbance near Vietnam that has a high chance of developing into a cyclone. They call hurricane cyclones, just depending on where you're at in the world. And that one has a very high chance of developing into a cyclone in the next 24 hours. So they're keeping eyes on that as well. As far as volcanoes, we had some interesting activity. We did actually go down one more as far as erupting volcanoes, down to 32. We have 28 showing minor activity. That's exactly the same as it was last week. But we have 27 showing unrest. So we're actually up 2 in that category. So we actually added one more volcano to our list of potential erupting volcanoes in the country. Or in the world. So that list is just incredible. There's a lot of volcanoes on there. And when the earth gets too hot, how does Mother Nature cool herself? With volcanic activity. And that's one of the reasons why I keep such a sharp eye on what's going on there. All right, let's break down the wildfires. In the United States, we are at a preparedness level of 4. That's getting up there pretty high. We have 67 fires burning, 13 new fires. The acreage that is burning in the United States actually increased by 500,000 plus acres this week. So that's a horrible increase in 1 week, up to 774,000 acres burning. And there are 4 of those fires that are contained at this time. The number 1 state for burning is Alaska. They have no new fires, but they have 369,000 acres on fire. That's coming from 14 fires, and none of them are contained. Number 2 on the list is Oregon. They have 1 new fire burning, 177,000 acres on fire. This is coming from 8 fires, and 1 of those is contained. California is number 3 on the list with 4 new fires, 80,533 acres. We're up to 12 active fires. 1 of those is contained at this time. And Arizona is number 4 on the list with 3 new fires, 52,643 acres coming from 10 fires, and none of those are contained at this time. I didn't really see a whole lot of wildfire activity in the rest of the world when I was looking around for it, but that's one that it's hard to get world news on what's happening with wildfire activities. So there was the wetlands in Brazil. I know I've talked about it before. It's one of the largest preserved wetlands in the world, and it was basically burnt to a crisp this year. So that was pretty unfortunate to have that happen over there. Alrighty, well, that's the Changing Earth news. We've just got the planet going crazy. It's just everything seems a little bit surreal today, I would say, after yesterday. You know, I didn't think. Yeah. Well, I mean, as a kid with like whose parents all lived through the JFK thing. That, you know, they all have their moment of where they were. It's kind of like when 9/11 happened, you know. So I always figured that would like be our event as far as like, where were you when, you know? And now yesterday it's like, wow, okay, that's just crazy. I didn't think we were actually to this point yet. So my eyes are open a little bit further today.
I'm reading a whole bunch of synopses about the shooter. He was where was this? This was kind of not funny, but funny. One of the main here, ABC News reported a former classmate, high school classmate, said the suspect was rejected from his high school rifle club for being a bad shot.
Ha ha ha!
Oh my God!
No way!
I mean, the stuff that they're coming up with now, it's like. They're trying to everything they can find out about this guy. Yep. So he didn't make the high school rifle club because he was not a good shot.
Because he was not a good shot. Haha, serves him right. You know, I don't know. I just, that's, you know, premeditated murder is not acceptable on any level, like I was saying. So
anywhere.
Anywhere. For anybody.
Absolutely.
At any time.
Nope.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. It's just sad. Sad. Alrighty, guys. Next week, we're going to have a slamming show. Got Rick coming in. Everybody just stay safe. Keep your wits about you. Keep breathing. Keep an open mind. Watch both sides. See what everybody's doing. And until next week, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.